In this video, I'm going to break down my starting technique. I have always been a pretty good starter, and there's a lot of things that go into when I do a start, and that comes with 30 years of racing and 30 years of experience. So first, I'm going to go over, the first part of this video is going to be the body technique and how you want to position your body on the bike before the gate drops and after the gate drops, and what you need to do with your body in order to be effective on the start. Second part is going to be about the engine characteristics and how you want your bike to be on the line and the things you do with the controls on the line. And then the last part of the video is going to be what I call cheat codes. Now, I don't recommend anybody cheat, but these are the things that I have found over the years to be very effective. And I've kept them secret from a lot of my competitors for a long time because crap, I wanted to have good results and I wanted to do well and I wanted to make some money. But now that I'm older, I can throw this stuff out there and leave it out there for anyone to take up if they're interested. All right, so let's get into the body technique first. Okay, so here is a picture of me sitting on the starting line just before the gate drops. And you can see, compared to the other people there, I have a little bit different form and technique. One thing that I really focus on is having an anterior pelvic tilt when you're on the bike. And what that is going to do is drive your butt back on the seat, but almost reverse arch your back and stick your chest out. And what that does, it drives the weight down into the bike so that tire bites. If you have a rounded back while you're sitting on the starting line, you're putting your weight into the handlebars and you're going to allow that rear end to dance around everywhere on the starting line. You see my feet, I have both feet down, and what you can't really see from this angle is I have my feet tucked under the bike. Feet are tucked under the bike. I have my elbows up and I'm focusing beyond the gate. I'm actually not looking at the gate. I look slightly beyond it. And then I'm looking down through my peripheral vision. I can see it out of the bottom angle of my eye. I can see the gate. And what that does is wherever your head goes, the bike follows. If you're looking down in front of your front fender right at the gate and there's a rut coming out, you're going to dance around in that rut because you're looking straight down in front of you. It's the same thing when you go through a corner. When you go through a corner, you look far ahead. When you're at the gate, look just a little bit beyond the gate, so you're looking more up. You get that body a little more erect coming out of the gate, and you're going to drive forward instead of dancing around coming out that gate. So here is my list of body technique and the things you can focus on when you go ride. First is going to be legs tight. Try to tuck your feet under the bike. And what I do is in between my shifter and my foot peg, and in between my brake pedal and my foot peg, I try to squeeze that bike as tight as I can. And what that's going to do, it's going to keep that weight tight. You're going to have no dancing off the starting line. The second one is going to be flat back with an anterior pelvic tilt. What a flat back does is it gets your head up, get your chest up, and that anterior pelvic tilt drives the weight down into the rear wheel so it bites coming out of that gate. If you round your back, that rear wheel is not going to be biting into the dirt and the weight's going to be into the handlebars, and you are going to be dancing left and right coming out of that gate. Like I said before, look beyond the gate. See the gate in your peripheral. Don't focus just at the bar of the gate, because what's going to happen is when that gate drops, you're going to suddenly lift your head up, and then it's going to be a jerk of your body and a change of your body positioning. If you can look back or look forward in front of it, you will come out of that gate straight and you'll drive forward, just like looking 15 to 20 feet ahead in the corner. Number 4 is elbows up and chest up. That kind of goes with the anterior pelvic tilt. 5 would be sit in the pocket of the seat. Some people say sit forward on the starts, but you don't want to sit so forward on the seat that you slide back under acceleration. That pocket, you can stay in that pocket, drive yourself forward when you come out, and you'll stay in the same spot. If you slide back on the seat, there could be a sudden jerk of the throttle, and then you wheelie on the gate. Number 6, keep your feet down and legs tight until you need to shift. So this is a big problem that I see with a lot of people is they come over the gate and they're in a hurry to get their feet up, even though they don't have to shift. Keep those legs down until right before you need to shift, because that sudden jerk of your body pulling your feet up could cause you to let off the gas and unsettle the bike. You want to keep that bike as stable as possible and driving out of the gate. And on these 4-strokes, I mean, you can watch me on the other starts. I have my legs down for a pretty long time, and it's just before I need to shift up to 3rd gear. I always start in 2nd gear. You know, some of the old 2-strokes, you got to start in 1st gear. And some people, you know, if you're really light on a 4-stroke, you can start in 3rd gear. So not a specific gear to start in, just, keep those legs down until you need to shift. Number 7 is keep legs tight and pull upper body forward, initiating at the hip as you're coming over the gate. So when you come out, keeping your body forward, and if you watch my start videos, you can see I keep my body forward the whole way down. That's what allows me to drive forward. And even these people that got a better jump than me, I'm able to drive quicker down that straightaway just because of my body position. All right, let's watch that first start one more time. Okay, let's talk about the engine characteristics and how you want your bike to sound and the way you manipulate the levers on the line. The first one is going to be, and this is personally how I like to do it, and I just recently taught a pro this specific technique who was getting hole shotted by intermediates at the local races to pulling multiple hole shots, even at the national level. In his LCQ races, he was getting very good starts. What I like to do is I rev the bike very high, almost to the rev limiter or at the rev limiter. And if you listen to that last start, you can hear my bike at the rev limiter on the line over everybody else's. But when you do rev your bike that high, you cannot let go or dump the clutch. You need to utilize the clutch to control the bike as far as you need to down the straight. Sometimes I am utilizing that clutch half to 3/4 of the way down that straightaway just to keep that front end down. And if you can see on those last two starts, I wheelie on both of them, but I still pull the hole shot. And that is because I have those RPMs up. And the reason you want to keep those RPMs up very high is because if you have it at half throttle and then somebody gets a jump next to you, your natural reaction is going to be to pin that throttle even harder. And then that wheel is going to come up. And if you're not manipulating the clutch, you're just going to lose control. You're going to have to let off, come back down. If you have that bike revved high and you manipulate the clutch down the straightaway, you are controlling what that bike does with the clutch. Hold that throttle very, very high and manipulate it with the clutch down the straightaway. Also, put a finger on the front brake. What that does is it loads the rear end. And if you have the proper body position with that bike, the finger on the front brake, and driving your hips and your legs down into the bike, getting traction, you want to load and put as much power to that rear tire as possible coming out of the gate. Number 4, find the spot with the clutch where the bike is just about to move and hold it there. So before you go, let that clutch out as far and get to the point where the bike's just about to move or it moves, and then go back a little bit and hold it right there, right before that point where the bike is just about to move at the gate. All right, let's move on, and we're going to watch Landon McBride do a couple starts. He has pretty near perfect form on the start and does everything we've been talking about. The anterior pelvic tilt, the feet, you can see his feet tucked under the bike, and he looks to the cone. But stay watching the video because I'm going to give you some really good cheat codes that helped me out throughout the years. Okay, these are my cheat codes. Now, I don't agree. Nobody should be cheating, but I call them cheat codes because I liked video games growing up. But look for advantages on timing the gate. Get a small roll if you can. You know, at Supercross and national level, they make sure you're pulled up to the gate completely. But at these local races, they don't really care most of the time. And rock your bike back a little bit and just get a small creep. It doesn't have to be much at all. If those wheels are turning, and what that does too, it helps you get your clutch at the right point before that gate drops, so you're not dumping it out of the gate. So try to get a small roll if you can. Number 2, okay, now this one is huge. When you get starting devices, they give you a template that says 90, 100, and 110 millimeters for the starting devices. I have found that the starting device, put it at 140 millimeters to 165. I typically have mine at 160 millimeters. And what that does, watch Supercross, watch the Nationals. Look at how low their front ends are raked down. This is huge. If you rake that starting device down, your starts are instantly going to get better. So measure that starting device out and just don't follow the template. What you're going to find, though, is if you're running starting devices, you might rip a few off here and there. But to me, hey, if you're pulling the whole shot, one, it's a safety thing. You get a bad start, you're behind a ton of people, and you're mixing it up in the pack. That's another way to get hurt. Somebody cross jumps you or hits you. But if you can pull whole shots, you're keeping yourself safer. That's why Jet Lawrence stays so safe and Hunter Lawrence. They're out in front all the time. Okay, number 3. This is one that I used in arena cross that was huge. I would start on the far outside and pull hole shots. And everybody asked me, how do you pull hole shots from the outside? I was 195 pounds on a 250F. And I never told anybody about this. The way that I pulled hole shots was I listened for the pressure release right before the gate dropped. I went and stood in the stands and I heard the pressure release right before the gate drop. It was awesome. I knew every time I would go to that outside gate that nobody would pick because that was where I could hear the hydraulic gate release and drop, and I would rip the hole shot from the outside because I would time it perfectly every single time. I would hear the of the air and I would go. All right, number 4, watch the board guy or girl and count time after the board goes sideways. 1001, 1002, drop. We're all creatures of habit, and those guys that are doing that starting board, they're creatures of habit too. Typically, at our local races, it's usually board turns, 1001, 1002, maybe sometimes almost 1003, but you're going to be aware that that gate is going to drop within 1002 and 1003. And then some of the races, look for the open doghouse. I mean, this one is pretty self-explanatory. If they don't have a cover around the doghouse and you can watch the guy kick the gate, the dropper with his foot, that's a huge advantage. Go right next to the doghouse and just watch him kick the start dropper. Yeah, so that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Work on these things. This is what works for me. This is what works for the people that I teach, like little Landon here and a bunch of other people that I teach, and they're ripping hole shots with this technique. So any questions, comments, put it. And yeah, thanks for watching.